All right, my man, state your name and let them know you on Real Talk with Nick.
Word, LeVar Folk, BK, Brooklyn representing. What's up? Out in Harlem doing the community events today, showing love to the community.
That's what's up, man. He's on Real Talk with Nick, man. He just gave out some basketballs, man. I mean, let me just turn around real brief. See the kids out there in the park shooting and all that, man. This man right here and the organization he's a part of is responsible for that. That's what's up, man. I had to come this way and speak to the brother, man. Are you a Knicks fan, man?
I'm not a Knicks fan. I'm a New Yorker, but I will always respect the Knicks.
Okay, that's good enough, man. Being that you respect the Knicks, right? What player is currently playing on today's roster when you speak of these Knickerbockers that you respect their game?
I mean, I like Quigley a lot.
Let's start there.
I don't know if he was a point guard. He's a combo guard.
He's a combo
guard. He's a scorer. I would use Quigley as like a six-man in a Vinnie Johnson mode because he comes and he impacts the game and he scores in bunches. So he's a high-energy guy. So I like him in that role.
Does he remind you of any other player?
Who does he remind me of? He got he's really quick.
No pun intended, right?
Really quick.
Can I help you out? I mean, his idol is Lou Williams.
Lou Williams?
Does he remind you also of a player like Maxey from Philly?
I can see a Maxey role. Lou Williams is more slow, methodical, like he scored differently. I like him. He's like a high-energy guy off the bench. So, like, I see, like, even like Tyler Hero kind of sort of playing that role. I know he shoot more, but he's a high volume scorer off the bench.
Okay.
So I like Quigley. I'm always like D Rose. I feel you always need that vet presence on your team.
Okay.
I feel like he.
No. I'm listening.
I feel like he brings that presence. You know, not the same MVP Derrick Rose, but this Derrick Rose is still impactful, and I like him for the playoffs, especially with the young bunch of guys they got.
Now I want to touch more on Emmanuel Quigley, right? Emmanuel Quigley was under the Derrick Rose tutorage.
Right.
Derrick Rose was mentoring him, right? For the past 2 seasons.
Right.
Does he? Well, it's not about does he. Let me rephrase this question. Is he getting the short end of the stick when you have a point guard like Jalen Brunson coming to the Knicks when you had somebody like Emmanuel Quigley who was being mentored under Derrick Rose?
I guess it depends on how the coach is going to play him and the system they're going to play. You could look at it like he's getting the short end of the stick because you want that guy to have that time to develop and see if he can turn into that one that you want, or see, you know. But bringing in a guy like Brunson, I think the way the game is played now, you play with multiple guards. And it's kind of like positionless basketball. So you can have 2 small guards playing together because they don't play the same type of ball, so they could coexist. So I think Quigley's more of a scorer. I think Brunson's more of a traditional point guard who can also score. So
right.
I think that...
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Minutes-wise, it might cut into it, but I think they can play together successfully on the court.
Okay, now speaking of these guards, right?
Right.
And you have a coach like Tom Thibodeau.
Right.
When fans critique his coaching ability, right? They say he runs his players to the ground. You agree?
I feel like he has his style of basketball. He's a defensive first guy. And defense isn't a focus in the way the game is played now. The way the game is played from the outside in. Like when I played coming up, you want to get a layup on a fast break. Now guys run to the 3-point line. So I think Thibodeau is setting his ways, and I don't think he runs his players to the game. I think he's just setting his ways, and he preaches defense first.
And how important is defense to you?
To me, I feel like defense wins championships. But the way the game is played now, like I keep saying, like you try to outscore your opponent, man. But I feel like if you can stop your opponent, you have a better chance of winning ball games. Because in the NBA now, everybody can score from any point, any angle. You got 6'10", 6'11", 7 feet, 7'4" guys running to the 3-point line, handling the ball. So, but I feel like if you can stop teams on the other end, it builds your team stronger camaraderie, and I think like it gives you a better chance of winning ball games.
Okay.
I might be old school in that.
No. Let's say old school is the way to go, man. You know the old saying, stick to traditional basketball, right? Wow, man. And when I speak of centers, man, my boy Mitch, he just got the extension contract. He got $60 million, right? Do you think he can be a Clint Capella type of player? Or is he already there in your eyes, man?
I feel like Mitchell is a good piece, and I feel like he'll be a good center Sandon with somebody else. High energy, athletic, rebound the ball, but you know on the other end he's not giving you much offensively. But he's great defensively, and he's a rim runner. So I feel like him along with another tandem center would be good because together, those two could probably give you 20, say between 10 and 15 together.
Have you heard of a player called Jericho Sims?
Who's that?
Jericho Sims. Backup center for the Knicks.
Jericho Sims. Is that the tall light skin dude?
Right.
Yes. I like him.
You like him?
I like him.
Think that's it? Well, he's a backup center.
I like him.
Do you think he can implement what you just described as?
You know what? I feel like he can. I feel because he can score the ball. He can score the ball. So I feel like they may need some time to develop. That's a great possibility. I think they can coexist together. They just need time to gel.
Now, you said you need more coming from Mitchell Robinson when speaking of his offensive game, right? What if I told you, I don't know if you're aware, that he has a 3-ball behind the arc game?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, a lot don't know. He's been practicing this for the past 2 years.
I didn't know that.
But they won't let him implement it on the court. If he decides to show that this upcoming season and can bank them shots, how much arsenal do you think that would bring to his game?
I got to see it, man. I got to see it. I mean, if you got a center who can stretch the court, you have a stretch 5, it always helps because now you can't pack the lane in, and it makes more rooms for your guards and forwards, your high flyers like Obi Toppin, who's a rim runner, who's athletic, who could, shoot the 3, not consistently, but he can shoot it. But that opens up the court for your younger players and your high flyers. Okay.
So you will have to see it, right? Yeah. And how important is a big man like Mitchell Robinson to have an outside game? Is it even necessary at this point?
I mean, it's the way the game is played now. Look at Joker. I mean, you got a couple traditional back to the basket centers, maybe 2 to 3. All the centers stretch the court. It's the way the game is played. Positionless basketball is the way the NBA is played now.
But do you agree with that?
In my eyes, I don't like it, but I mean, I understand it.
And who do you think is responsible for the change of game when we see big men shooting? Some say Pat Ewing. Pat Ewing was one of the centers that you would see shoot a 15-footer.
Pat had the baseline jump shot. He had the foul line jump shot. You had Rick Smith who was shooting 3s back then.
Right.
You had some guys. You had Sabonis. You had some centers who were stretching the floor. But now it's just like it's everybody. I mean, everybody does it. You might have Gobert. You might have a couple other guys the guy who the Nets just let go. What's the guy, the rebounding guy? I forgot his name. But you may have a couple traditional back to the basket guys, but more importantly, these guys stretch the floor. I feel like when Golden State won those championships, they changed the way the game is played. Everybody doesn't have the arsenal Golden State has, and they try to implement and play the same way Golden State plays, but they don't have that roster Golden State has.
Right.
Golden State has arguably the best shooting backcourt that we've ever seen.
Some say that Golden State lacks defense, but yet they found a way to play.
I feel like they're underrated on defense because their offense is so good. Because you're not just coming, you don't have 140, 150-point games. They getting stops on the defensive end. You may see them switch Steph Curry and put him on a weaker offensive player, but the defense is underrated. They play great team defense and they're smart. But that's just because they score the ball so well.
Okay. Now I want to talk about coaching, man.
Okay.
Knicks went through a lot of coaching, man. Yeah. We had Mike D, you had your Pat Riley, you had your David Fizdale, Tom Thibbs. I can go on and on and on, man. Van Gundy. Oh, man, what a list, right?
The Mecca, it's hard to, everybody's not built for New York. Everybody can't play in New York. Everybody's not ready for that pressure.
That stands for coaching, too?
Everything, yes. And also, how committed is the owner to winning? I feel like you had great rosters, that opportunity to make great rosters. Is the owner more committed to selling out and making sure the money is there, or to putting a winning product on the floor? I feel like New York City deserves a winning team. When the Knicks are winning, the city is banging. Everything, the food is better, the city's in peace. Everything is just better when the Knicks is winning. And I'm not a Knicks fan. I went to a Knicks game last year versus the Bulls. I'm not a Knicks fan, but I felt the energy in the Garden.
Are you a disappointed Knicks fan? Sound like you once was, man. I hear a lot of people say, you know what, I'm not a Knicks fan.
I was.
But yeah, you got to know the ins and outs of the team, man.
The finger roll hurt me. The finger roll hurt
Pat
me.
E, right?
But I mean, any team you have, you're going to have your ups and downs, man. So if you rock with a team, you rock with a team. But I respect the Knicks.
Okay, let's get back to the coaching question, though.
Yeah.
Man. Out of the list of coaches that I named, right? Who in your eyes you think was the most? What's the word I'm looking for? Like the right fit.
I felt like Van Gundy was a Knicks coach. I felt like he fit the roster that he had. That roster, I felt Van Gundy, because as a coach, you got to mesh well with your personnel. You can have your own coaching style, but you have to mesh well with the players you have, or it doesn't work. I feel like when what's the guy name that had Melo, that was out with Phoenix? What's his name?
Talking about Mike D.
Yeah, Mike D. I felt like he tried to change. He tried to make a system, but didn't have the right players for the system he wanted to play. So it was a match between the coaching style and also the personnel.
How do you felt about Van Gundy? Oh, you mentioned Van Gundy.
Like Van Gundy.
Pat Riley.
Always like Pat. You can't. I love Pat. I love Pat. I felt Pat got the most out of that team. Wish he would have stayed. But those two guys, to me, even you had those two guys stand out to me.
And what about Mike Woodson, man?
Mike Woodson. I feel like the Knicks was transitioning at the time, so he got to show them the stick, like with the whole Melo stuff, and the teams wasn't gelling. Was Woodson the coach during the Melo tenure? Or
yeah, I believe he was. I would like to say he was. A lot of
change. I felt like Mike Woodson was a good coach. The Knicks have had some good coaches, but I think it's about meshing with the team.
Okay, now, I don't know if you're aware of Jalen Brunson, Rick Brunson, being the assistant.
Yeah.
I don't know too much about his background as far as being an assistant coach.
Right.
But do you think that's a good fit with him and Tom Thibodeau coexisting with each other? Because I would think Mike Woodson would be what is Tom Thibodeau supposed to be the defense. Mike Woodson would be that to the offensive game.
I don't know much about Rick Brunson as an assistant coach. I know he was a great college player, and I know he's a smart basketball player. Underrated, big guard. Big point. I think he's about 6'4", maybe. Smart though, sturdy. And his son, I think his son is him with a better offensive package. I mean, that's kind of dope to have a father and son combo tandem, coaching and playing together. I think that's ill. And that's.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
That's ill. Like, who wouldn't want to coach a team that his son is playing on? I mean, as a parent, I mean, growing up, who thought that would have happened? So I would like to see how that forms out.
Okay. Do you think when we speak of them two, father and son, being on the same team, do you think that might mess up the chemistry when we speak of a player like Julius Randle, who's used to being, look at my man, who's used to being the first option, man?
I still feel like he's the first option. I feel like to me, he's a great second option. I don't think he's a first option guy. I feel like he's a Robin. I don't feel like he's a Batman. I feel like he's good. I feel like he's a great scorer, but I don't feel like he's a leader. Like, you could be a great player, but doesn't make you a leader on a team. He gets his points, but I feel like he would coexist better with another guy. He's going to get you. When you look at the stats, he's going to have 20. He's going to have the 20 and 10. He's going to have that, but did he take 30 shots to get it? Is that impacting the other guys? You see him get the rebound, dribble the whole shot clock with his left hand. Like, I'm like, yo, pass the ball.
So is he an ISO player to you, Julius Randle?
I feel like he's a selfish player to me at times. I feel like he's skilled, but I feel like you need to play more on the team concept. Like, you could get yours, but get yours in the spots. I don't need to see you bring the ball up court, dribble up the whole shot clock, then take a shot. Like, when he's on, but I feel like he got to get it more in the team concept.
Now, do you think he's playing out of position, meaning he plays more like a power forward, point forward, as they would say now?
Yeah, I feel like he is. I mean, it depends. He could be a matchup. He could be a matchup problem depending on who they're playing. Because he's strong, he can handle the rock. So if you got a bigger guy, he can step out. You know what I'm saying? If you got a smaller guy, he could post up. So he has the package. He's tough. I'm not saying he's tough. I just feel like I want him to not have to take 30 shots to get his and get it more in the team concept.
Right. Some say his weakness is trash talking.
I don't mind.
When someone talking, but when it comes to Julius Randle, he plays into the crowd. When you have an off game, crowd get into his head, and
it happened versus the Nets. It happened versus the Nets. You've seen it at times where you want to be more focused. But let's realize too, he came from an LA team, a young team that was building a core together that got broke up with the LeBron trade, and then he stepped in. Nobody thought he was going to have that year he had 2 years ago.
Oh yeah, when they went full season.
Yeah, nobody expected that, but he's always been a stud since Kentucky. He's been a stud. You know what I'm saying? So I don't mind the trash talk. He has to learn. Like, I guess it'll come, and that's where the veteran leadership falls into place. Like, you got a guy like D Rose, but another vet. who plays the position, who he can learn from.
Is it safe to say that he had that type of season where the Knicks found himself in the 4th seed because we was in the bubble? Wasn't no fans. I mean, you play your game. It was like you in the gym and, you know.
I mean, he's tough. I mean, he's tough. I feel like he's a great player, but not the leader you want leading your guys, if that makes sense.
So who do you see being the face of the team?
He is the face of the team. That doesn't mean he's the leader of the team, if that makes sense. Like, you have guys who, sometimes you have the guy who's the face and also the leader. But I feel like Derrick Rose is the leader of that team. Right now, currently. He should be. I mean, the vets should respect him. I know he's not the same Derrick Rose who we've seen in the past, but that presence, who's the only MVP on the team, on the roster? Him. I mean, you got to respect it. You got to respect it. And as a team, you could be the man, but you also need other guys to do their part too. It all has to work together for you to be successful. Okay. And when I mention a player like Obi, man, some say Obi's only good for fast breaks. I'm biased. I'm going to put it out there. I'm biased. His pops is nice. His pops played in Brooklyn, high flyer. And I'm rooting for the young boy. Like, because he wasn't highly recruited coming out of high school. He went to Dayton, wanted to be in the National Player of the Year. I mean, won the slam dunk contest. His game is going to expand. His game is going to expand. He's athletic. He's versatile. He can run the court. Once he gets a more consistent jump shot and a better flow of understanding the game, I feel like he'll be typical. I feel like at his peak, he'll be an all-star. You see that? I see that. He has that potential. He has the potential. Yes. Does he remind you of a player? I'm not saying he's there yet. Yeah. But is he showing glimpses of being the next Amori 2.0? I think Stat was more of a 4. I think that he's more of a 3. He was a 4. I think he's more of a. I don't know. I look at him more of as a 3, like a rim run, like a wing guy who could stretch the floor. But the potential is there, and I feel like he has a high ceiling. He has a high ceiling. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And my man R.J. Barrett, man. I was bad, I used to dog R.J. Barrett. I dogged him. Wait, now hold it there. I'm glad I hit a nerve, man. I'm brutally honest. I dogged R.J. Barrett. So when you first heard about R.J. Barrett, his draft class, with him, Zion, Cam Reddish, you was highly upset when the Knicks... I wasn't upset. I felt like, all right, yeah. I didn't see what he did well to be, like, really going to the next level. I felt like Cam Reddish was good. I felt like they were comparable the same. But I see, like, every year he's evolving. He needs to, develop a stronger right hand because everything is, really, he's strong left. You don't see him going right a little? I do, but I think that he needs to mix it up a little bit more. It's very strong left, or spin back to the middle. Some say Julius Randle go left too much. He does too. Now your top 2 players, your top 2 scorers are predominantly left side guys. So now the players, it's kind of easy to. But I feel like every year he's improved stat wise, and he's getting a better understanding of the game. I could play that song, to the left, to the left. When we speak of Beyonce, my man Jalen Brunson's another one, left side player. Is New York, when we speak of the fan, are we, or should we be concerned that we got Jalen Brunson, R.J. Barrett, and Julius Randle dominantly left side players? I mean, like I said, I feel like R.J.'s improving, and I feel like with his improvement, you'll see more out of him this year. And I think Brunson is a good controller of the game. So, I feel like he's a smart player, he picks his spots. So, I see the Knicks competing for a playoff spot. Do you look at Brunson as an undersized player, point guard? Is he going to have problems in the East? Nah, he's tough. He's tough. He's tough. Is he defense liability? I don't think so. No? I don't think so. I think with Tibbs, you're going to play defense or you're going to sit. I feel like he's tough. He's a Villanova guy, comes from that Jay Wright family, so he's a tough guy and he understands how to play. He's a dog, so you're not going to just, he showed a lot in the playoffs. Did you see the matchup between him and Donovan Mitchell? You could say that about Donovan Mitchell and a lot of players. I ain't say anything. All I asked was, did you see the matchup between, and what's the result? When the smoke cleared, Mavs was standing tall. That's why he got that 100K. That's why he got that 100 million. So, he played for that contract. He deserved this. A lot of bread for 4 years. But, hey, got to prove now. like I said, New York is a tough place to play.
Do you think he could handle the media, Jalen Brunson?
I do, because he's not like a rah-rah guy. That his demeanor seems to be, you know what I mean? So I don't think he gets too high, too low, which is good. Which the Knicks league, like you don't need to be here. You need to be like even kill with the Knicks with New York City, because they're gonna like that Philly. They're gonna dog you. When they love you when they love you, they hate you when they hate you.
Right, right. That's the New York anthem.
But I feel like he'll be all right, man.
Okay. And the big talk, man, when we speak of Donovan Mitchell, man, coming to New York. Some say this is another Carmelo Anthony situation. You're going to have to give up all these picks and trade all these players off for a player who wants to come here so bad. Melo wanted to come here. Melo could have went to Miami with Wade and LeBron. He didn't chase the wings. I guess the ring, excuse me.
Right.
He wanted to have a name for himself, you know, and doing on his own. So he came here.
Right.
Do you think we are deja vu? Is it a deja vu situation when we speak of Donovan Mitchell and Carmelo Anthony? Some say both of them are ISO players.
That's a great question.
Talk to me.
That's a great question. I feel like Donovan Mitchell, he's not a New York City guy, but he's a New York guy. I wouldn't mind seeing. I feel like that's a player you could build around. I feel like that's a player you could definitely build around. He's younger. I'm 4th, 5th year, 5 years in the league, maybe.
Yeah.
I feel like, do you break up your core for Donovan Mitchell is what you ask.
Basically. Because some say he'll make your starting 5 strong. Some also say you ain't going to get no more than but 10 more wins with a player like Donovan Mitchell with the roster we have.
It depends. If you trade him, what do you have left? Do you have trades left? Do you have assets left? So I feel like, I have to see what the package looks like, but I wouldn't mind seeing Donovan Mitchell in the Knicks.
You wouldn't mind seeing that? Okay. Okay. And is he defense liability?
He can be. He can be, because he's also a volume shooter. He's also a volume shooter.
So
that's why I think.
What can we expect from him? You say he's a volume shooter. What, you get like 20 points per game?
You're gonna get 25. You're gonna get like 25 maybe. I say like 25 a game with him. I think so.
So you all for Donovan Mitchell coming, man?
Why not?
And who would you trade for him? Who would you give up? Be nice in the comments, y'all. Because when I ask this question, man, you start naming players and they're would you give up Obi for him? Because Danny Ainge at one time, the names that was mentioned was Quentin Grimes, Obi, RJ.
That's a lot.
McBride.
You see what the package look like, man. You see what the package look like. I don't know. So I'm not really answering your question. I don't have an answer for you. So I'm BS.
Well, who would you willing to give up if you had the power? Who would you give up? I'm sorry to put you in deep waters like that. You're gonna end it like.
I'll be willing. It'll be open.
And do you consider Donovan Mitchell a superstar?
I do. All-star.
Well, we know he went to
all-star.
He's
on that cusp of being a superstar.
He's on the borderline.
Yeah, he's on that cusp.
All right, my man, that's what it is, man. I want to thank the OG once again.
Thank you.
Coming on Real Talk with Nick. Let him know one more time what you do for the community, man.
Love all folk. Work with the children in the community, trying to make a better city for New York City kids, man.
And can we find you on social media? Like, is there any links or something?
I ain't really on no platforms like that, but I'm going to check out your link. I'm not on no platforms like that.
All right,
Thanks for the
man.
interview. I appreciate it.
I appreciate you having me.
Thank you.
And we out. Peace.